Well, it's official. The elite global leaders are having their G7 meeting here in the province of Alberta, using our beautiful province, frankly, as a backdrop. It's easy to forget, though, that it's taxpayers, normal working people, especially here in Canada, that we're concerned about, who are going to be paying the bills for whatever these guys and gals decide upon. So we see US President Donald Trump talking with Prime Minister Mark Carney. I'll point out that the language sure has changed from the federal election.
What is holding up a deal with Canada from your perspective?
It's not so much holding up. I think we have different concepts. I have a tariff concept, and Mark has a different concept, which is something that some people like. But we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of it today. I'm a tariff person. I've always been a tariff. It's simple, it's easy, it's precise, and it just goes very quickly. And I think Mark has a more complex idea, but also very good. So we're going to look at both, and we're going to see what we're going to come out with something. Hopefully,
Really sounds like night and day. Unfortunately, US President Donald Trump is still talking about tariffs, saying he's a tariff guy. For folks who don't quite know, tariffs are just trade taxes. They are import or export trade taxes that make things cost more for normal working people. So that's unfortunate to hear. But here's the thing. Nobody can control US President Donald Trump other than Trump himself. That's just the reality. What we can control is our own reaction to what Trump is doing. So number one, we shouldn't be putting retaliatory tariffs on stuff that is coming into Canada, because that just makes stuff cost more for Canadians to buy. That's number one. The big one, Prime Minister Carney has got to look in the mirror and stop his plans for his big industrial carbon tax here in Canada. As we know, the current consumer carbon tax is set at zero, so that's good. That's why it's about 20 cents cheaper per liter of gasoline in most places across Canada outside of Quebec. So that's good. The bad news, though, is, of course, Carney is married to carbon taxes. He said so repeatedly during the election and in his book. Okay? The industrial carbon tax will be a tax on things like steel manufacturers, steel mills. That is why the pipe workers and the steel workers around Hamilton, Ontario, endorsed the Conservatives during the election, because they said that Carney's industrial carbon tax would, quote, decimate their industry. It would make their product too expensive and uncompetitive, and it would make those producers, those steel producers, move. It would make them leave and go to the United States, where Trump does not have a federal industrial carbon tax. Okay? So that is chasing those jobs south across the border. That is something that Carney could get rid of right now. He could do it today. So he could scrap his plans for the industrial carbon tax here in Canada. That's one. Second, he could get rid of his crazy plans to have a carbon tax tariff slapped onto things that are coming into Canada. Remember, during the election, it's right there in his platform, he's planning on hitting imports from countries that don't have carbon taxes. He's planning on hitting them with tariffs when they come into the country. So that means that here in Canada, we Canadians are going to have to pay that carbon tax on that item. Okay, so he needs to get rid of those crazy plans, to get rid of the carbon tax tariffs that he's planning for us to pay. And third, this is perhaps something that he can actually talk to US President Donald Trump about. Carney needs to scrap his plans to ban the sale of new gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles here in Canada. Trump got rid of that plan right away. That was one of former US President Joe Biden's plans, is to force people to buy battery-powered vehicles instead. Trump, one of the first things he did was get rid of that crazy idea, and that's a good thing. So here in Canada, we need to get rid of this plan too. Because number one, it shouldn't be up to the government to decide what kind of vehicle you drive. Okay? Number two, this is going to be crazy expensive. Okay? The federal government itself here in Canada estimates it's going to cost more than $300 billion with a B to transition to battery-powered vehicles. And this is coming really quickly, folks. This is going to happen soon. So the entire ban is going to be in place so that 100% of all new vehicles sold in Canada have got to be these battery-powered vehicles. No more gasoline or diesel-powered engines allowed to be sold in Canada anymore by 2035. That's in 10 years' time. That'll be here in the blink of an eye. Give you an idea, the Trudeau government was in power for 10 years, thereabouts. But this is also coming faster than that. It's actually hitting us soon. So in 6 months' time, 2026, auto sellers, okay, auto dealerships are going to have 20% of their sales be battery-powered vehicles. So in 6 months' time, this is going to start hitting the market. It's going to start skewing our ability to purchase vehicles, and it's going to cost taxpayers a ton of money. So while we see all these mucky-mucks gripping and grinning for pictures and sipping fancy drinks and stuff at the G7, keep in mind that it is ultimately taxpayers and normal working people that are going to be stuck with these expensive global plans.